and he obviously hasn't passed it over to Marty yet.
Yeah,
Let's go
fully
through
my
training.
intention to, however. We actually we have a quorum, so
All right.
we can go ahead and get started. I'm I'm going to try and keep this short this time because we'll probably start with some of the educational stuff next week, so the meetings may tend to be a little bit longer. So I think we can get through most of the agenda items fairly quickly. So let me just do roll call. Marty?
Here, present.
Mish?
Present.
Cam?
Present.
Nina?
Present.
Janet?
Present.
And I'm here. And Kevin's not here, so we don't have anyone taking, and Simone is not here, so we don't have anyone taking minutes.
Can we run a transcript with Zoom?
Well, we're certainly recording. Can you do a transcript with that?
Yeah, I mean, Zoom can take a live transcript. You have to just set it, but we can do it from the recording too.
So Woody, can you turn on the AI companion there? At the bottom?
At the bottom?
Yep. If that will summary will do that. I don't know. Yeah, summary. Yep.
Great.
Okay. All right. So first order of business is actually another point of other business, and that is that I had a phone call from Jim Petty this week that informed me that there'd been some confusion as so many people joined the committee this year. There was some confusion about who was stepping into a new term and who was completing a term. The reason that becomes important is that the moderator appoints new members, but replacements filling out a term are appointed by the committee itself. And we need to vote people on to become official members. So Jim did some kind of magic trying to figure this out. I'm not sure exactly how he came up with it, but as he has worked it through, Nina and Kevin are appointed to new 3-year terms, and Mish and Simone are going to be completing the terms of Melissa and Jerry. So we need to, I need a motion to add them as members of the committee, and then we need to do a vote. And Misha, I guess you need to recuse yourself from this vote. But then we can go on as we did. I should just, I'll let Simone know this as well, but don't think you're going to get out of this after a year, though.
Right.
As Jim said, he would then automatically appoint you to a new 3-year term at the end of this year.
Yeah, and that actually gives you, if you enjoy the Warrant Committee a lot, it means you can serve for 7 years on the Warrant Committee as opposed to just 6.
Great. So can I get a motion,
Yeah.
a nomination of Mish and Simone to join the Warrant Committee this year?
All right, I'll make a motion to add Simone and Mish to the Warrant Committee and serve out the remaining terms of Jerry and Melissa.
Great. And can I get a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay. Marty?
Yes.
Nina?
Yes.
Cam?
Yes.
And Janet?
Yes.
And I vote yes. So welcome, you're now official. And this gives us a full complement, so we now have nine members. Great. the other new business is the letter I think I sent around from Carl about the Division of Revenue and the need for an attestation that the town voted to exclude the debt from the Minuteman high school renovation expansion in 2016. I was actually somewhat blown away that I could find the official tabulation on the town website and that it had the numbers for the vote. That's pretty amazing. Handwritten, but at the bottom of the sheet, Felicia had noted the numbers. So we actually were all, because otherwise it seemed completely ridiculous that we're giving our attestation that the town voted to exclude the debt.
Even though none of the serving members of the Warrant Committee were members then.
Right. In fact, as I started to look for this, I found town meeting from 2016, and I didn't even recognize Kate Canny was actually the chair-elect, but I'm not sure I knew anyone else on the Warrant Committee that year. So definitely not the same group. At any rate, so the town needs us to then stop by the townhouse and sign the sheet. It's in Felicia's office, so hopefully sometime in the next 2 days you can stop in and sign, simply attesting that the town had the vote and voted to exclude the debt.
Can I ask a question, Woody? That was in 2016. And
Yes.
this is 2024. Was this process that the state is going through, is that done on an annual basis, or it just so happens it's something?
I think it's Dave, Robin, you can probably answer this better than I can, but as I understand it, the town needs to get the Division of Revenue to approve the tax rate every year.
Correct.
So why wasn't this brought up in any year from 2016 to today?
My guess is there was some kind of an audit that was done by the Commonwealth, and I can double check. And they started going, it's a check the box, we clearly voted at town meeting, and we probably were remiss in filling out a form. So,
And the bureaucratic police didn't catch it till this year, apparently.
exactly,
9 years later.
exactly. That's my guess, and I can confirm that. That's what I thought.
I was just curious how it suddenly
Right,
was.
because these things happen after the fact. And thankfully, this was really just somewhat of an administrative snafu. And we did it right. just didn't report it right. So
Yeah, as I understand from what Carl said, that
Right.
it wasn't, we actually told them what we had done, that we had certified it, but we hadn't provided the necessary documentation that the
Right.
vote had occurred.
paperwork is the death of all of us. So.
Call the
Marty,
audit
you
trail.
should know this from
Call the
your
audit trail, Robin, right?
right from your years in yeah. When I saw the note, I was like, oh my God, these are the things you just hate when you have
Yes,
an audit
you want
and
to go and hang
find this,
yourself,
and you're
right?
just like, really?
Yeah.
Okay. The next order was accepting the minutes from the 16th and the 23rd. Kevin sent them around. They were the ones that we actually revised them at the last meeting, but didn't vote to accept them. So if there are no, assuming everybody's seen the minutes, because Kevin did send them around, if there are no additional corrections, additions, then just like a motion to accept the minutes from the 16th.
I
Motion.
move for acceptance of the minutes, 16th.
And a second?
Can.
Great. So just go around. Marty,
Yes.
Nina,
Yes.
Janet, Cam.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I saw the nod. Nish,
Yes.
and I say yes. So that's 6-0. And the another motion for the 23rd.
I move for approval of the October 23rd minutes, or acceptance of the October 23rd minutes.
Thank you. Second.
Okay.
Cam. Okay. Marty,
Yes.
Nina,
Yes.
Janet,
Yes.
Cam,
Yes.
Nish,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Great. All right. So next I wanted just to talk through is the calendar, the orientation sessions. So Michael and Carl and Robin are going to give us a session on the budget. That last I spoke with Michael, he hadn't decided exactly when he would be ready to do that. But Barry has said that he would be willing to do the capital budget and talk about the capital budget next week if we think that would be a reasonable thing to start with.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And I will, unfortunately, Mike has been a little busy, so let me see if,
Yeah, I'm sure he's not sitting on his.
no. Yeah. Let me see if we can get, because I would like to do that training session before Thanksgiving. So let me see, because we have all the information. It's just a matter of pulling together a few slides. So
Great.
let me try, let me see if I can work with Carl myself and get something pulled together.
Okay. So I'll talk to Barry about next week. Marty and I are both going to the the annual meeting of the Association of Town Finance Committees this
Yeah, that
Saturday.
should be really good.
So hopefully we'll have something to bring back from that as well. But we'll be picking up any material that we can at the same time. So that may be something we can do a brief presentation on as well. So we'll try and do capital budget and follow up from the FTC meeting. Then I wanted to talk about the our own schedule. So I've had several communications with Michael and with Carl about our review schedule. Normally we'd actually start in December with a presentation from the town administrator, and then have 1 or 2 sessions in December, and then in January start working through the different town departments and committees. We've talked several times about changing that schedule so that we actually push the actual presentations back. And both Carl and Michael feel that endorse that, think it's a good idea, and would like to try it this year. I asked them specifically about whether or not they thought it was would be politically prudent to ask that department heads to present on a Saturday without some kind of warning. And I think Michael's a little reluctant to spring it on them at this point in the year. what he suggested is that if we could do it as 2 evening sessions, that would be preferable to him, with the idea that he'd try and get people to buy into the idea of doing a single Saturday the following year. So the we'll hopefully get a presentation from Michael of the budget, of the totality of the budget in early January.
You will.
First or second week in January. And then what I just looking at the schedule, I thought using the evening meet of February 11th, and I think it's February 26th would be a way for us to do it. If we start the meetings at 6 instead of 7 and are willing to go possibly as late as 10, we could do 4 hours a night. It seems like a long time, but I don't think it'll actually take 4 hours either night. That would be probably more time than, and could be significantly less than that, but I want to allow enough time for us to go through the whole thing. So the reason I'm not proposing February 11th is a Tuesday evening.
Right, I noticed that.
February 12th is the proposed date for the regional school committee meeting with the Warrant Committee and with Sherburne Finance. So it would mean 2 meetings that week. The school committee meeting, I hope is not contentious, but usually doesn't last longer than an hour and a half or so. So I think it would be tolerable, but it would be a rough week. The problem is that there's school vacation in between the 12th and the 26th. So I don't think we can ask to have a meeting during school vacation week. So we're kind of by necessity skipping that time.
So do you think the 5th is too late?
Beg pardon?
Do you think it would be too late to do it the 26th and the 5th? Because then you could get the school budgets on the 12th, which are 70% of our budget.
I think it's possible. We could. What's a little bit unpredictable is how many additional warrants and how many citizens'
Right.
petitions we're likely to entertain, because those can consume a fair amount of time. Actually, the additional warrants from the planning board or Concom don't take that much time for us to go through typically. There's some back and forth, but and pushing them back usually means that they're further in the process and have better defined what they're actually asking us to present. So it would be okay with me to try doing the 26th and the 5th, and then do the other articles and the citizens petitions on the 12th, say. We don't have a definite date for open hearing, but last year was March 18th, and and it was Monday, March 18th, and it's Monday, March 17th is what I was kind of expecting it would be this year.
Right. It has to be on a Monday.
Yep.
We actually have a calendar. Let me see if I can find it. You know, my concern is if you start too early, you land up having to redo things.
Yep.
And I'm trying to, you know, hopefully we can minimize that. So I think, based upon my experience, that if we waited a little bit longer, it might be a little bit better. I just think things would be better refined. I also think pulling together that master budget so early is gonna really help us get a sense of how big the ask is and how much we have to
Yes.
reduce it. So I'm hoping that that helps significantly.
Yeah, it really should. So
Right.
I'm game to try. I actually think the school committee calendar is the one that has the school committee meeting on the 12th.
Right.
That's earlier than we met last year and seems, given the fact that Dawn usually comes in with at least 3 or 4 versions of her budget, feels unlikely that by the 12th she's
Right.
hearing her final budget. So might even make sense to push that back some.
Yeah. I mean, I also think it would be good, especially given the lack of transparency from last year, to have that meeting on the 12th, that if need be, have a second meeting with the changes.
Yep. Any other thoughts about this schedule? Is it realistic to think we could do 2 4-hour meetings a week apart?
I think it is, so long as the liaisons take their responsibilities seriously and that they are, you know, the minute those budgets come out and we see what the total budget is, that they begin to communicate with the various committees and boards, you know, what is going to be realistic.
Yep. Cam, any thoughts?
Yeah, I sort of agree with Robin. One thing we could do is add another date as a rain date, as it were, if we don't get through everything.
Yep. Yeah, you know, even the 5th may be or the 12th might be a day with some flexibility, because and we had a bunch of planning board articles this last year. It's not clear to me that they're going to come in with the same number, and I'm at least hoping that we don't have to deal with the sidewalk again this year. So that you know, if we have only one citizen's position and a smaller number of articles, we could cruise through that very rapidly and have some overlap time that and still do any budget stuff.
There will be one article that I believe is going to solicit a lot of discussion, and that is the potential regionalization of dispatch.
Yes. Yeah.
But I think what we need to do is get in front of that. So I am actually meeting with the police chief on Friday, so I can report back, just to brainstorm with him, you know, the best way to begin to communicate that, because I think we should begin to communicate that now, because there are capital improvements that will need to happen that are quite expensive in the event regionalization does not pass.
Yeah.
So, you know, so that one, but I think that one, since it's a discrete project, maybe one of the meetings much earlier, because a study's been done. I'll work with the police chief to put together a presentation. So maybe really early in January, he would be in a position to make an initial presentation to you.
Yeah, that'd be great.
But that's the one article that I think, that I know of right now, that could, you know, that will warrant a lot of discussion.
That and pickleball.
Is pickleball coming back?
I'm sure.
I haven't heard for sure, but the last I heard, it was likely to be back on things.
Okay, then that one also, right.
Although this year we're likely to approve the plan, so not the actual construction, but the plan. So they might be quite happy with that.
Right, so that would roll into the capital budget potentially.
Yeah.
I hate to be a killjoy, but Rick Guerin did come to a meeting and say that he has contacted both federal, our Auchincloss and some state rep looking for funding and went on this rant. And I'm like, he doesn't give up. So as much as we want this to go away, it may be back.
Yep.
Sorry to be now I'll go away again.
Yeah,
I
I
can't
forgot
remember
about that.
Who's the liaison for citizens petitions?
Kevin.
Kevin. Oh, good that Kevin's not here.
He might have more patience than
For
those of us who've already
Nina and
been through
me.
it a couple of times.
Rick Aaron runs a daycare center on Center Street, and as 2 years in a row at a citizens petition, they just presented to create a sidewalk on Cross Street that just took an incredible amount of energy from a large number of people. It got voted down both times by town meeting, but took a lot of time and discussion, and was I would say was exhausting for all concerned. So we'll see. Last year, the other citizens petition was the leash law. So that also created a fair amount of interest, anxiety. All right, so it seems reasonable to try. I'll propose to Michael and Carl that we do 2 weeks, the 26th and is it the 5th? And that we'll use the 12th as a day for the citizens petitions and other articles. And
You mean the 11th, right?
the 11th, yep. Well, whatever.
Because the 12th, I thought you said was the regional meeting. Is that correct?
Yeah. So what Robin was suggesting, I'm perfectly willing to do this, would be to do instead of doing our budget reviews, the 11th and the 26th, we would do them the 26th and March 5th.
March 5th.
And do and have a discussion with the regional school committee and the Sherburne Finance about meeting on the 12th and possibly having a second meeting.
Okay.
All right, great. So that's most of what I wanted to get through tonight. I did I got some comments from Nina on the school letter. I have to apologize. I've been struggling to write a revision of the letter that Dan drafted that would be coming from, they proposed to come from Sherburne Finance and us. I will try and get that out in the next day or so. I just wanted to let it. I've actually written the draft, but need to let it sit for a day and then read it and revise it.
Yeah, rather than
Tell you this little secret I've been doing is using Chat GPT
Oh my goodness.
to look things over. And you can say, you have to be really careful though, that it's not changing the context of what you're trying to write. But it does give you some good suggestions. So, you know, you put it into words, you throw it in there, you tell it what you're looking for, and then it makes suggestions.
I'm not exactly AI, Woody, but one suggestion I would have is that if we're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole by getting a joint letter with with Sherborne, it might be smarter for us to write a letter that we think is appropriate and then go back to Sherborne and say, listen, we don't want to go into all these details about particular rules of behavior. We just want more transparency and see if they can agree to that. And if not, we might just have to agree to disagree.
Yeah, and send separate letters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would be fine with that, honestly, if we end up. I mean, I think Robin's correct that there is a tone of annoyance that comes through that, Sherburne has a more contentious
Right.
relationship to the regional school committee than we do. It makes up a greater part of their budget than it does Dover's, and they have been flirting with the 2.5 override for several years, which they feel the school committee has not been terribly sympathetic to them on. So I do think they were predisposed to come out kind of fuming over when they felt that they'd been misled by the school committee around the capital purchase of the air handlers. So I actually don't think the school committee did anything wrong and didn't intentionally mislead. I feel that they don't pay attention, all that much attention to this. They tend to let Dawn take care of business for them. And I think they and we would both benefit from more communication. Maybe more actual joint meetings would make sense too for us and them. But I do think we can, with help, we can draft a letter that conveys our sense that we would all benefit from greater communication. So
And I really like that tone because I think it goes on and on about you did this and you did this and Mass General Law says you can't do this, instead of saying, well, what do we want to get out of this?
Yeah.
And if Sherburne insists on putting all the chapter and verse of the law, then I would put it as an appendix,
That's
Yeah.
as a
good
reference.
compromise.
Yeah, that's a good, that would be possible.
Just because we all agree the tone should be much softer and gentler and trying to achieve something positive. And then if anyone wants to get uppity, there'll be plenty in the appendix.
And it would shorten the letter, which I think is also another
Yes.
desirable thing. And it's too long
A
right
little
now.
long.
Yeah.
Well, you take all the legal out of it and it's much, much shorter.
It is much shorter.
But your point, Woody, is still the tone would be abrasive. And so to make it, we're all on the same team in tone, then, I think Robin's right. Maybe just do it from scratch. It might be a whole lot easier just to write the letter and let it come out.
Yeah, I also think that maybe having a meeting with Mark Healy and Dawn as a discussion at which we give them the letter would be a little more pleasant than sending them the letter and then kind of waiting for them to respond. I
I
mean,
think that's a really good idea.
We're trying to build a relationship here, which doesn't typically work that way with official letters. All right, so I'll try and have something in the next 2 or 3 days that I can distribute. Then we can actually kind of vote on it next Wednesday, and I'll try and incorporate Nina's comments and comments from anyone else who wants to send them on.
Yeah, I just did some things for tone, but I could, if you want to sort of start from scratch, I can look at it again and be more freeform. Great.
All right, that'd be helpful. I realized also that my word skills have atrophied in the last several years. When I haven't had to type Word documents for several years, and
I know the feeling.
It's amazing how rapidly the skills go away. I was trying to make columns and it was like a disaster. Okay, great. So that's all I had. Unless there's other business that people want to bring up, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Great. A second?
Yes.
Oh, okay, thanks, Nishi. I wasn't trying to monopolize the second.
Was I supposed to go after you? I'm sorry.
No, you can, whoever speaks. There's
Okay.
often a long pause when we're waiting for someone to second the motion, so
Everybody's waiting for somebody else to.
I didn't know
have their
if there was a
turn.
hierarchy. Didn't know if there was a hierarchy here.
there must
Sorry.
be a social anthropologist who could comment on this, but seems like it always takes too long. All right. We can do this by acclamation. All in favor of adjourning?
Yay.
Great. And we'll I'll send out the letter and the agenda for next week. We'll plan on having Barry attend it, and Marty and I will both report on the meeting. Great. Thank you very much.
Okay, good.
So
Thank
was this
you.
a record for the shortest meeting?
No, we
For
we
this
had
year.
for this year. Yeah, for this year, but Cam did stellar work several times and really got us to
Well,
be
good
quiet.
job. Woody, I'll touch base with Mike tomorrow and I'll give you a sense of when we will be able to do that training session for you.
Robin and
try,
Woody,
give ChatGPT a try. You say,
I'll try that.
make this more collaborative.
Yeah,
And
good.
it does an amazing job. I pissed this one woman off every single time I sent her something. So I asked ChatGPT to make it more collaborative. I got a response immediately.
Really?
That's
great.
great.
there you go. Robin and Woody, may I please ask that both myself and Jim Rapetti get added to those training sessions? I was speaking with Jim on the phone today, and he
sure.
very much would like to go to
Okay.
them along with me.
All right, great.
And-
I should probably put Jim on the warrant committee email list as well anyway. All right, great. See you next week.
And
Great,
we need
thank
to
you. Good night.
Bye.
Bye,
Night.
everyone.